One of my favorite movies as a kid was Superman. Maybe it was because of my own parenting, my own issues with my parents, but I liked Superman. He came from another planet, which helped because I didn't like where I lived. And he came from another planet and he was adopted. He had issues and looked like a loser on the outside, but he had otherworldly stuff on the inside that attracted me. There was Superman 1, 2, and 3. But when I got a little older, Superman had rescued the world and he went back to his home planet. And when he came back, it's in the movie Superman Returns. When he comes back to be a hero again. But he doesn't come back to a world that he left it. He comes back to a world that declares, I don't need you anymore. Even Lois Lane won a Pulitzer Prize for an article that says why the world doesn't need Superman. And he said, I thought we were tight. You wasn't saying that when Lex Luthor had you by the throat. When you were stuck, you needed me, but now you're doing all good. You don't need me anymore. That's all right. He tries to adjust to life as a normal human being. But he's not just a human being. He's a superhero. And as the movie goes on, he puts on his cape and begins flying around again. And he did something that I thought was prophetic. He goes up on top of the earth. And he begins listening to all of the people's thoughts. Listening to their cries, yea, even listening to their prayers. On the outside, the world doesn't need Superman, but when he stands up on top of the earth, everybody is crying out for help. And when he comes back to earth, he goes and tells Lois Lane something that I thought was awesome. You told me that the world didn't need Superman. You've declared it and everyone believes it. You say the stuff in public, but I hear their cries and their prayers in private. You said the world didn't need me, but I hear something else. And while he was talking to Lois Lane, what he did not know is that Lex Luthor was back and that he had a plan to conquer the world, but this time he had some kryptonite. And he began building a big island out of kryptonite. Superman began feeling weak. He's needed, but he becomes weak. And when he gets in a boxing match with Lex Luthor stabs him, pushes him off the island, and Superman begins to drown. Lex Luthor captures Lois Lane, captures her husband, and even captures his son. And while Superman is going to the bottom of the ocean, Lois Lane was already delivered, and she jumped into the water and grabbed Superman and pulled him up on the helicopter. They tried to do CPR on him, but his vital signs were getting weak. And when they turned him over, they saw a stick of kryptonite in his back. They pulled the kryptonite out, and his pulse started racing again, but his oxygen started going through his lungs, but he still had issues. But when somebody who was connected by blood began touching him and kissing him, Superman got stronger because his son came and rescued him. And when he got his strength back, he went and grabbed Lex Luthor and he defeats him in the end. When I began to see that, I began to think about Jesus. He came from another world, but he was misunderstood by his brothers and his entire family. The Bible says there was nothing in his outward appearance that we should be attracted to him. He was misunderstood even though he was super. And when Satan concocted a plan, and he stabbed Jesus, not with kryptonite, but with sin. The world says, we don't need you because you're not helping us anymore. And when Satan put the kryptonite in his side, he thought that Jesus was done. But when they put him in the tomb, his father sent his angel to take the kryptonite out and say, son, rise up, be a superhero again. Tread down underfoot all of your enemies and your haters and save the people who don't even want you. be super for them. And when Jesus came out of the tomb, you see, what Satan didn't know is that sin could kill humanity, but it could never kill divinity. And what's impossible for you is possible for him. Christianity is a rescue religion. We are rescued. We can't think it up. We can't make it happen. We need God to come rescue us, even when we don't want him. Even when we think we don't need him, he shows up and say, I am the man that you're not. And if you connect to me, all of the kryptonite in your life will be thrown away, and you can be the man that I created you to be. If you want to say right now, God, I've been stuck by some stuff. There's some things that's connected to me. I'm strong and I have this bravado, but God, I'm in a famine right now and I need you right now. If you don't do this for me now, not only will I lose myself, but I'll lose my family. If you want to say, God, I want to connect with you as a man, I invite you to stand to your feet. I'm going to pray a special prayer just for you. You need to connect with God again.